We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
This is Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. The Rwanda Association of Local Government Authorities has unveiled an electronic tool that will help districts and the city of Kigali to consistently monitor and report on the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in a localized context. The Rwanda Environment Management Authority and Rwanda Development Board have signed a 6-month agreement with Q Avenue Solutions to open and manage Nyandungu Eco Park. Former Japanese Prime Minister has died after being shot on the streets. Welcome back. News in detail. Irembo, a new government platform that enables access to government services, has announced Israel Wime as its new chief executive officer. According to a statement released today, he will take over effectively July 12, 2022, replacing Faith Keza, who joined Irembo in 2017 and has been Irembo's CEO since 2018. Wime joins the online platform from Zipline, where he led the national implementation in Rwanda before heading the company's drone services across Africa. Wime has also been serving on the board of Irembo since June 2020. According to Irembo, Keza leaves to enroll at the Harvard Business School for a 2-year MBA program. Keza said it has been such a pleasure to lead the fantastic team at Irembo and work with mission-oriented partners in the government of Rwanda to improve public service delivery. She noted that Israel's insights and support as a board member have been invaluable over the past 2 years, and she could not think of anyone better to lead Irembo to its next great chapter. Israel said that building on the existing foundation with the team at Irembo, they will capture the next waves of growth for Irembo to continue driving Rwanda and Africa's digital transformation. The members of Parliamentary Assembly of the Francophonie Committee on Cooperation and Development have made an observation at a meeting in Kigali, rooting for strategies meant to lower prices for basic commodities such as food for citizens. In this session, different MPs shared the economic situation of their respective countries, addressing that the COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war are threatening the registered economic gains. Manzi Prince has this report.
While giving a brief on Rwanda's economic situation, MP Veneranda Uwamaria said that, according to data from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Rwanda has registered a good performance. Data shows that the gross domestic product grew by 10.9% in 2021, thanks to the recovery strategies and efforts to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic. This economic growth was achieved after the country's economy contracted by 3.4% in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic impact. Data from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning suggests that inflation or overall increase in prices of goods and services is projected at 9.5% in 2022. For Africa, in May this year, the African Development Bank announced that the price of wheat has soared on the continent by over 45% since the war in Ukraine began, while fertilizer prices had increased by 300%. Francis Drone, an MP from the House of Commons, Canada, said that as all countries, Canada is confronted with high inflation, where it is at 7.7%, specifically pointing out that food price increase is at 9.7% this year. Bruno Fars, acting Secretary General of Parliamentary Assembly of the Francophonie, said that one would think that providing economic situations in every country of the Francophonie bloc is just a routine, but indicated that through a review it is realized that this point is important. For example, he said, in France, there is a draft law on purchasing being debated on with a view to protect citizens from the difficulties linked to inflation, the Ukrainian crisis, prices of energy, barley and shortage of raw materials or necessities. He said it could help everyone to better find ways and means to overcome difficult situations in which fellow citizens are. Mans Prince, Radio Imanzi.
The Rwanda Association of Local Government Authorities has unveiled an electronic tool that will help districts and the city of Kigali to consistently monitor and report on the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in a localized context. The SDGs online monitoring and reporting tool was one milestone of the second phase of the SDGs localization in Rwanda project implemented by RALGA from 2020 to June 2022, with financial support from the Commonwealth Local Government Forum under the European Union supported strengthening local government's role as a partner in development project. This project, which downscaled SDGs at district level, was in the wide national context of domesticating and localizing SDGs at all levels of national structure to ensure their ownership, integration, efficient and effective implementation. In this framework, the SDGs were accordingly integrated into Rwanda's Vision 2050, the National Strategy for Transformation 1, as well as the sector strategic plans. Accordingly, districts included them in their district development strategies. The Rwanda Environment Management Authority and Rwanda Development Board have signed a 6-month agreement with QA Venue Solutions to open and manage Nyandungu Eco Park. QA Venue Solutions is a Pan-African venue solutions provider in the event venue, entertainment and hospitality industry in South Africa and Rwanda. Mans Prince with more.
From a degraded wetland to an educational and recreational eco park in the heart of Rwanda's capital city, Nyandungu Eco Park is now open to the public, effective today. The 181-hectare park features a medicinal garden, a pops garden, 5 catchment ponds, 3 recreation ponds, an information center, a restaurant, as well as 10 kilometers of walkways and bike lanes. The park is home to more than 62 local plant species and more than 100 bird species, and is the first public recreational and touristic facility of its kind in Kigali. Juliet Kabera, Director General of the Rwanda Environment Management Authority, said the Nyandungu wetland represents the value of restoring urban ecosystem and will serve as a blueprint for other wetlands in Kigali and across the country. She said urban wetlands play a critical role in preventing flooding, addressing pollution, and are home to unique biodiversity. As we face the impacts of climate change, wetlands will be a key ally to protect lives and livelihoods. The rapid growth of Kigali and the associated human activities have put significant pressure on the wetlands. Wetlands, including Nyandungu, have been degraded, biodiversity loss. Encroachment has also resulted in downstream flooding as well as increased pollution due to sewage overflows. The restoration of Nyandungu wetland to an ecotourism park serves as an example of Rwanda's efforts and commitment towards environmental protection, particularly for the conservation of wetland ecosystems as well as ecotourism, said Zephanie Nyonguru, Deputy CEO of the Rwanda Development Board. The Nyandungu Eco Park will be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 7 days a week. QA Venue Solutions is expected to offer guided tours to visitors and its attractions, and will soon, at the end of the month, announce what it requires for tourists and visitors to visit the park.
Rwanda's international basketball referee Jean-Sauveur Ruhamiriza has been named among referees who will officiate at this year's NBA Summer League. Ruhamiriza is the only African referee selected to officiate at the week-long showpiece. Rwanda's Ernest Habiyambere has beaten Mundu Nur from Sudan by 2 sets in men's singles to qualify to the final of the Davis Cup Africa Group, the 4th tournament taking place at Ecology Tennis Club IPRC Kigali.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
Angola's former president Jose Eduardo dos Santos has died aged 79. Jose Eduardo dos Santos ruled Angola for 38 years. He died in the Barcelona clinic where he was hospitalized in June. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died after being shot on the street in the city of Nara this Friday. This came as a shocking act of violence in the country with one of the world's lowest rates of gun crime. He was shot at about 11:30 a.m. local time in Nara, east of Osaka, as he gave an election campaign speech on the street. According to doctors at Nara Medical University, he arrived at the hospital in a state of cardiac arrest at 12:20 local time and was pronounced dead at 5:03 p.m. According to NHK media organization citing police sources, said they have arrested Tetsuya Yamagani, a Nara resident in his 40s, in relation to the shooting. Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo has defended his decision to seek help from the International Monetary Fund, saying it was necessary to restore public finances after the twin shocks of the pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The decision has sparked an outcry in Ghana, which is in the throes of severe economic crisis, with critics accusing President Akufo-Addo of reneging on his initial decision not to call on the IMF after saying a new tax would boost the economy. He said all countries in the world are striving to return to a state of normality after the devastation impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the consequences of which were exacerbated by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. He added that in the case of Ghana, they have decided to seek the collaboration of the IMF to repair in the short term the public finances. The West African country recorded 27% inflation in May, its highest level in 2 decades. The African Cup of Nations for Women has kicked off in Morocco between Rabat and Casablanca. The 12 best teams on the continent will compete until July 23rd with the aim of getting 4 tickets for the next World Cup. With the women's tournament and the upcoming 2nd edition of the CAF Women Champions League in October, Morocco is emerging as the promised land of women's football in Africa. The kingdom has been able to put in place the necessary actions, whether it be at the level of infrastructure or training of talents.
Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi.
Now the Rwanda Stock Exchange Market Report. Today's trading session recorded its total turnover of 86 million Rwandan francs worth of bonds traded in 2 deals on the fixed income market, while the equities market remained quiet. M10 Rwanda closed the counter at 177. I&M Bank at 43 Rwandan francs. Bralirwa at 160. Simirgwa at 120, Bank of Kigali at 265, Equity Bank at 440, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370, National Media Group at 1,200, Uchumi Supermarket at 104, and RH Buffalo closed the counter at 526 Rwandan francs as the market closed. The currency market review of today. Burundian franc buying price was 0.49 and the selling price was 0.5. Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.5 and the selling price was 8.7. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43 and the selling price was 0.44. Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.27 and the selling price was 0.275. The US dollar buying price was 1,015 and the selling price was 1,035. The British pound buying price was 1,218 and the selling price was 1,242. The euro buying price was 1,030 and the selling price was 1,050. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.